What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I got another top 10 video for you. And as you can tell by my shirt, I will be sharing you my top 10 favorite Batman villains at this point in time. Now, I'd first off like to thank the person who sent this request, Joker7444, so you can thank him for requesting this list. Now, to start off kind of simple, my number 10 is Catwoman. Now, the reason I put Catwoman rather low on my list is because, in my eyes, I don't really view her as a legitimate villain of Batman. I mean, I'm sorry if you can tell by my voice I'm getting a little sick. Yeah, they've had their couple of fights, but in my experience about reading about Catwoman, I've actually seen more storylines that I thought were more interesting of her actually working alongside Batman. And those two have so much chemistry together, they have so much in common. And as far as I can tell, there hasn't been really many times Catwoman's actually gone out of her way to try to take out Batman. It's more of a, I'm trying to steal something, Batman tries to stop me, and we end up getting a little fight, and I always get away, or, you know, he always catches me. But she's usually more of an ally. If I ever do a list or get requested to do a list of top 10 favorite Batman allies, she would actually be much higher on that list than I would put her here. So that's why she's my number 10. Number 9 on my list is Mr.Freeze. Mr.Freeze is also another villain that I personally don't really feel like he likes to go out of his way to kill Batman. I mean, he's a victim of his own fate. He generally is a good guy. His wife, Nora, got that really bad sickness, and he's simply trying to find a way to cure her despite his deformity. And sometimes his means tend to end up involving hurting people, and that's where Batman gets involved. So I do believe that if Mr. Freeze were looking for other legitimate ways to find a cure other than having to hurt other people or steal money or do dirty jobs, it's not hard for me to believe that Batman would actually want to go out of his way to help Mr. Freeze. So that's why he's number 9. Now, going on to 8 and to 1, these are legitimate villains. So, for number 8, it is the Riddler. The Riddler is a real interesting character because, aside from him having the color green, and the color green is my favorite color, Edward Nygma is a very intelligent character whose motivations for why he does what he does is simply because he wants attention. And he has this real personal grudge against Batman of trying to prove that he is smarter than the world's greatest detective. And he's done some really terrible things with some real sick riddles to kind of get Batman to do what he wants or to challenge him. And I suppose on a couple of occasions he's actually tried to kill Batman directly, but it's usually a test of intellects. And that's always an interesting fight than strictly physical. Number 7 on my list is Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is very deadly. She's, that seductive pheromones of hers. Her kisses instantly kill. She's kind of like the world's greatest defender of the environment. Like, instead of the environment, plants and trees really can't fight for themselves. So in her eyes, she kind of sees herself as Mother Nature's fist. And I mean, she's also rather intelligent with being able to use certain scents and chemicals that come from plants to get what she wants. And in one case, she was even able to use her little spells against Superman and get him under her control. So that's a very impressive feat. And that wasn't an easy fight for Batman to somewhat win. So that definitely gives her some serious respect points. Number 6 on my list is Deadshot. Deadshot is one of those villains as you really have to admire his real marksmanship, because Batman usually deals with a lot of thugs that like to shoot at him a lot, and I would say out of anyone that likes shooting at Batman, Deadshot is probably the one marksman I would say could actually shoot and hit Batman to the point where he actually gets shot. He is an expert marksman. He's got so many different styles of weaponry, depending on up close machine guns to rifles, and I mean he's a hired gun. So if someone asks him to go after Batman, you bet he's gonna do it. It's just a shame he doesn't get more recognition than just in some of the games and maybe some of the animated films, because I think he would be a good secondary villain, but not a main villain. He certainly deserves more exposure than what we've gotten of him so far. Number 5 is Ra's al Ghul. Some people say Ra's al Ghul, but it's Ra's. Ra's al Ghul is he kind of does what Batman claims he does. What I mean by that is Ra's wants to bring his own form of justice, but he will actually cross that line that Batman does. He does not mind killing if he believes it's for a greater cause. He's highly intelligent. He's crossed paths with Batman multiple times. In terms of martial arts skill, in terms of weaponry, he's an easy match against Batman and can handle his own. And the fact that he's centuries old due to his Lazarus picks makes him a very long-lasting villain. I mean, you know, Batman ages, so if Ra's al Ghul wanted to, all he'd have to do is wait maybe 80, 90 years, keep jumping in the Lazarus pit, and, well, Batman wouldn't be much of a problem now, would he? Number 4 on my list is Scarecrow. Scarecrow is, or Dr. Crane, is one of those villains as he likes to make people face their fear. And in Batman's case, the fact that he has the whole quotes of I am fear, I am vengeance, I am the night. And Scarecrow has actually on many occasions gotten to Batman and made him face his own fears. It's a very impressive feat. Not many people can do that where they can actually use one of Batman's own tactics against him, which is fear, and, you know, be able to use it to his own advantage. Now, note, he's probably not the best up-close, hand-to-hand combat fighter. He's usually someone who likes to use, you know, indirect tactics to get what he wants, but that still makes him a very threatening presence and a very intimidating villain for Batman. Number 3 on my list is Black Mask. Black Mask is probably the most underrated villain on my list, in my personal opinion, because Black Mask is a very deadly villain. He is very well skilled in the arts of torture. He's very good with firearms and weaponry. I wouldn't say he's on par with, say, Batman, but the fact that he has his own crime organization, which is very highly organized, really would be a very difficult feat for Batman to take down. And he usually needs to call in some type of backup, you know, or some inside help in order for Batman to successfully take down someone like Black Mask. And the most recent show of Black Mask that I can remember was his portrayal in Batman Under the Red Hood, which I really thought that was kind of disrespectful for that, because Black Mask is not a coward at all. He will stand his ground even if he's got his back to the wall, and that's usually when he is most dangerous. And he's got a real somewhat fierce rivalry with Catwoman, and so to see just those two, not even with Batman involved, is an interesting storyline to follow. Number 2 on my list is Bane. And no, it's not because he was in The Dark Knight Rises. He was my number 2 even long before he was even announced. Bane is the very physical, only villain, in my opinion, which physically he can handle Batman. And he's not really the big, bulky idiot. He's highly intelligent. Now, I'm sure we all know this. What Bane is most famous for is in Nightfall when he actually broke Batman's back by breaking out all the villains in Arkham, having Batman have to contend with each and every one of them, and then when Batman was completely exhausted, Bane just sort of picked him up and broke his back. That is a keen intellect, and I think that Batman doesn't really have too many villains which have a good balance of using intelligence with sheer brute strength. They're usually either really good at simply trying to outsmart or outthink Batman, or simply try to overpower him. Bane is probably the only villain who has a balance of both. And with number 1, I'm sure you can all guess it. I don't think anyone that does a list like that could pick someone else. It's the Joker. Enough said. Joker is Joker. Joker is Batman's opposite. He's his equal. He's his greatest villain, and I believe many people would say he's probably one of the greatest villains of all time. If no one has caused more harm, more pain, more suffering, more torture to Batman than the Joker. And despite all of this, Batman has refused to take him out. And many times, some of Batman's own allies would understand. It's like, you know, Bruce, you know, the Joker is in a class by himself. Absolutely none of your other villains are in his league. And, you know, if you were to kill him, I think you'd be doing yourself a service. I mean, think of how many people you would have saved or would still be alive if you had just taken out the Joker the first time you met him. But Batman restrains from that. He doesn't want to go down that path. And that's probably one of the biggest problems I've always had with Batman, is that, you know, the fact that you won't cross that line under extreme reasons kind of makes you responsible for all the things he's going to do. Because you know that if you catch him, you throw him in jail, he's going to break out and kill more people. And it's a never-ending cycle. And until you end him, it will never stop. And with that, that is my top 10 favorite Batman villains of all time. So please, tell me guys, what is some of your favorite Batman villains? Because I'd really like to know. So tell me in the comments down below. And if you like this list, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track for me my future movie, video game reviews, and top 10 videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.